Okay. Okay, great. Looks like the mic and everything is working. I just want to confirm that everybody can see my screen. Should be seeing Palladium in front of you at the moment. Okay, great. So we're going to be starting now. And today's training is based off of the alerts. So automation and the alerts. Okay, so let me open up my alerts quickly. Okay. So in front of you now is the alert screen. So once you do require or acquire the actual alerts itself, you'll be able to log into the website, and this is basically what it's going to look like. On the left-hand side, you have all these modules. So you have the alerts, the defaults, the alert library, and the registration details. There's also a help option over here. If you click on the help option, it's going to give you a PDF document based on the alerts and how to go manage around through it. Okay. Today's alert is going to be based off of open orders. Well, not necessarily open orders. It's going to be based off of orders that is newly generated. So you can see here, this is one of the alerts that one of the procedures I have. So basically this tells me, or it gives me a list of all the sales orders that's available. Okay. So on the Palladium Alerts side, we have our registration details. So our registration details adds in, or it just tells us what our company is, our company name, the product key, and basically our registration details. Then we have the alert library. So the alert library is used to save certain characteristics, or to save a previously done alert for maybe a later use, or to at least use it to modify for another company. So here you have your list of them. You can then export this list. The export file will come in as Excel. So you'll see on the bottom left, it'll come in as Excel and a receivable REPX file. This is used to import when you actually want to create a new alert. Okay, so all the alerts that you've done will be listed here. Then we have our defaults. So on our default side, this is basically where all our servers is, or our authentication. So this is where we add in our company's details and our companies that we're going to be having the alerts on. And then we have the alerts itself. So this is where we add the alert. So whether it's going to be going on a 24-hour basis, if it's going on an hourly basis, so forth. Yeah. So to start off with your alerts, we're going to go into the default side. And we're going to be adding in a new data source. So when we click on add new, it's going to ask us for our data source name, our server, database, username, and password. Our data source name is basically what we're naming it. It is our alias. So under the data source, we'll type in this case, it will be the alerts test. We're just testing out alerts. Our server, so this is what our database is connected to. So in my case, I'm going to be using this alerts test database I have here. And this is the server's details. We'll then add the server with the correct port number at the end. We then have the database name. So then we'll add in our database name, the username that it's attached to, and then the password for that server, for that username. We can then test it out. It shows on the top right that the connection test was successful. And if, let's say, we remove our port number and say test, you can see it sits and loads for quite some time until it then fails. Okay, so let's just add our port number again, give it a test, and click on save. You'll see on the last, it's now added in our alerts or our connection details. And then below this is the SMTP settings. So we have our settings here. So this is going to be the email addresses used to send out the email. And then we also have our SMS server, so our SMS user that we're going to be using. Okay, this obviously on our side is tested. This will be for us. And then again, you have your alert section. Sorry, and then we have our alert section. So this is basically where the alert is going to be added. So here we have all our alerts for all our companies. We can edit and change them if need be. We also have any filters that in case you want to search for a specific alert. And then we can also remove the alerts that were originally done. So we have different options here. So we have a hard delete, which would remove the alert completely. Then we have the soft delete, which will remove some of the contents within the alert. Maybe the reports and email addresses the reports, email, and maybe the data source itself, but we'll keep the rest of the connection details as well as the descriptions and when it was created. And then we have our edit option. Okay. Now to create a new alert, you'll go to the top right and you see that there's an add new button. We'll click on the add new button and this is going to be our process name. So it's going to be for new orders. And the comment is going to be will just be new orders made. Okay. We're going to click on enable to make sure that it is working, and we're going to not allow enable report. Reason for this is because it's going to look for a report that is generated. Unfortunately for today, we won't be going through that, but I will show you when it is used. Okay. We can click on save and next. And now you can see here it's run once per day, hourly, daily, weekly, or monthly. So we're going to set it for once per day. And we're going to be setting it for 3 o'clock. Okay, the start date will be today. And we can say save and click on and step. And add a step. Okay, now you're going to be greeted with this screen. It's going to show you your alert name on the top, so our new orders. And then it's going to ask you for a certain procedure or our steps. I like to work in steps of 3. In this case, we have our step 1, which is basically generating the report. sorry, our step one is to not generate our report, but it is to generate the information for the report or for the email. So our step one is for our data, and it's going to be set to a data source. We then have our conditions. Our conditions will then appear on the bottom left for new orders, changed records, and deleted records, as well as all records. So we're going to set it to new records, since we want to make sure that we're receiving any of the new orders that was processed on that day, it will get sent to us. So we'll click on new records. We'll then click on save. Let's just make sure we enable that. You can click on the enable button and click on save. Then this is going to appear on the bottom side. You can then see our configuration. So here we would select which source we're trying to retrieve the information from. Here we're going to click on our alerts test that we made under defaults. And then we will test out the connection. Okay, to show you that the connection is successful, and then we'll ask for a query. Okay, now the query is basically what you're going to be looking for and from which table. Under Palladium, I've created a view on my side. And this view is going to generate certain information such as the ID, the customer name, subtotal, and email. So let's create a new query quickly. Apologies on this. Create a new query. Yeah. So let me get my query out. Okay. Okay, so this is basically what we're looking for. So we take our query, we take our view, and we select the information that's required. We then take this query and it is then added to our order here. We'll then verify the query, you can then see it appears with a bunch of information. Okay, then you can change that information. So you can see this str order doc ID. We could change this just to the order ID. Set the unique key. And the total. Okay, great. So once you've added in your alias, your unique key, you then have verified your query, which will display the information just as temporary. It won't show everything. It'll only show you the first maybe 5 or 6 lines, just so it just generates and tells you, okay, there is information that's there. Okay. From here, we can click on save, and then save the configuration, and then it will bring us to this option here. It will bring us back to our normal screen that will show you our alerts, our alert name, and the step that we took. So our step 1. Now we're going to go to step 2. Step 2 is basically to run the report. So if we go to the right-hand side, and we go to the top here to add a new step, we'll then say this is step 2. And this is to email out the information. Will be set to an email. And we'll click on enabled. We'll then save this. And then you can see the information then appears, or what information needs to be filled. You then have your configuration. So you can add a specific email or SMTP server here, or we can use our defaults that was added into our alert library and default side for our SMSs and or emails. So we can click on to say use defaults, then the to email address, which would be using mine. If there's any subjects, if you'd like to split the report, and the message that's going to appear with it. You have your HTML message as well as your plain text. HTML messages are also quite unique as you can insert different fields such as ID or customer name, saying dear, and then you could say the customer's name. But in this case, we're just receiving the emails for us in particular. It is not being sent to our clients. It is being sent to us. And this is only going to be used for our information purposes. Okay. So it's going to show us a list of all the new orders. We'll click on save. And then we'll click on save again. That's basically it when it comes to the actual email itself. Okay, so let me just go to my view quickly. Okay, so on this side, I am testing out the view. So it would show that no information is brought. I will then run the manual. I'll run this alert manually. So if I click on manual execute, it is then going to execute this alert. It's going to try get the database monitor. It will, and then after it has all the information, it will then step 2, add in, send out the email. Okay. So as you can see here, I have received an email now stating that these are all the sales orders currently, since it did not read any new information from those sales orders. This is going to be the new information as of now. Great. So this is basically what the actual form looks like. You do have your report, but this is what the email would look like. If there is no report added in between, then this is the email you receive. You'll have your order ID, the customer name, as well as the total that was added to it. So this would be based off of the information I added. If I have to run the operation again, the alert ran successfully. And let's just give it some time. In this case, there should not be any type of email sent to us. Reason being is because it already read the first 5 sales orders, and it basically keeps it. Because we're looking for all types of new orders, it's going to display any new orders going forward. So on my side, I haven't received an email as of yet. So we'll go on to our Palladium quickly. Let's go to receivables. Let's go to our sales orders. And again, you can see here, this is going from sales order 1 up until number 5. Let's then add in a new customer. Derby City Council. We'll then add in the item. Great. So you can see on the top here, it's SO006, and we'll click the record button. Great. Once the sales order has been recorded, we can then move back to our alerts. Again, the alerts would be run once per every day at 3 o'clock. So in this case, I'm just manually doing it just to show you the example. So we'll click on manually execute again. It will then find out the information, and there I've received a new mail. Let me double click on that. And now you can see here that our order ID, customer name, and total has appeared. So this is our sales order number 6, the customer name, and the total for that sales order. So it does not bring any of the other information since it's only looking for old records. Okay. That would be on the order side. So again, if you want a specific alert done, it is the information that's found for you. So you would then create a view to view the information. You would then create a query to gather the information, and then create the alert itself. On our side, we will assist with any types of alerts itself, but again, we do not assist with SQL. Please advise that we don't assist if there's any problems with SQL or the programming language itself. We don't assist with that. We'll only assist when it comes to actually adding in the alert, not if the information is being brought out correctly. Okay, so that's on the alert side. When it comes to the reporting, this option here to the enable the report, this is going to happen in between the database, the step 1 and step 2. Email would usually be step 3, but to enable the reporting, it just means that it will generate an actual PDF document that will get sent to the client or to you. At a later stage or during another training session, we'll show you what report designer we do use to make these reports. Okay. So if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to go ahead and ask. You're also able to unmute if need be. But that's basically it when it comes to the alert side. It's more so setting up and making sure that your SQL server is pulling through the right information. Everything is connected on our side, then that information gets sent to us. So if you have any questions, feel free to type them out if need be.
Mr. Duarte, can you hear me? This is Moses. What you just shown is on the email site. Yes, we can see the alert on the email site. You didn't show an SMS showing on the maybe the receiving and the customer end. I don't know if you get the question I'm asking. The customer will want to see maybe the SMS on an Android device or an iPhone.
Yes, in that case, it would work in the same way. So here, if we go to our email section and edit it, unfortunately, I don't have an example for the SMS side, but you can send an SMS on the bottom side.
Okay, so but where do you define the Android or iPhone device?
It won't be based off of the iPhone or Android. It's just based on the number that is sent to you. So it will be sent to an SMS number. So it wouldn't matter.
Okay. So you just the SMS number that will be sent.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so from what you've just shown here now, you can the customer can receive either an SMS on his device or an email on his device.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Then the second question, this is only on the premium platform or is possible on the enterprise platform?
This would be possible on the enterprise as well.
Okay. But the meaning that you have to buy the alert module to connect to the enterprise.
Yes, the alerts is sold separately.
Okay, sold separately. All right. That's okay.
Okay, perfect.
Hi, JP, Monia. You mentioned that.
So what they've done now is everything is possible with what you have been asking of. So it is.
Sorry, Monet, just say again, please.
My apologies. Okay. You mentioned that you.
So it is for us now to put things together if you want to follow it up from that point.
Sorry, Moses, your mic is still on. Let me just answer Monet's question quickly. Sorry, carry on again, Monet.
Apologies for that. You mentioned that you guys do not support or SQL, all right?
Yes, that's correct.
So you guys do not write this queries in your network. My first question is, your client is hosted by you guys in Palladium. Will you assist in writing a query for a client?
Well, yes, on our side, when you do ask us for the query itself, you have the alerts, and then we would send you a quote based on what queries you would like created. So again, the alerts itself is sold separately just to have the alerts. Then the queries are quoted for depending on what information is needed. So we'll customize and create everything on our side. But if everything is done on your side, you can then send us the query and we'll just put it through and add it to it.
So, okay, so you just answered both of my questions. If we send a SQL query to you guys to upload, it's billable. If we ask you guys to create a SQL query, it's billable.
Yes, but not necessarily with the if you ask us to add the query,
Yeah.
we are able to do that. We're able to do that with no cost because we're not actually processing or adding or creating the
Okay.
query. It's
Okay.
only billable when we create it ourselves.
Perfect. Okay. Well, that second question is, do you guys, when the client purchase alerts, right? Do you have default template queries in your library? The library.
Yeah, this would be our default. This is just
Perfect.
for some
Perfect.
examples.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I
So
thought it
such
was
as
for testing
overviews accounts and
purposes
stuff.
also.
Mm,
Okay.
yeah. So we could give this out as examples, or at least what we can do with the alerts, because the alerts it's quite wide, since you can basically pull any information and get any information
Yeah.
because it's coming from SQL.
Yeah. Third question is, you email out the first set of report with information with the new orders. Then
Yes.
that's the first report. Then you send out a new report with only a single transaction. That's basically, let's say today you send out a batch of 5 transactions of new orders. Tomorrow you're sending
Yes.
out the same batch, but just one because it's a new one. Is there a way maybe like a report, let's say a client or a client wants a report for that particular week's time. Is that possible? I hope I'm making sense here.
Okay, so if you want to report based on the week's orders,
Yeah,
then
you
yes,
set it up daily to get it right, but like the example that you shown us, 6 transactions came through today, for example, and tomorrow just 1 transaction came through. So let's say the client says the boss wants a whole week's reports. Is there like a history or back history where you can go and select, okay, I want all 7 transactions to view on this report as well? Or do you have to print it out via your email and just amend it together?
well, you can amend it together. Again, it does depend on how your alert is set up. So such as
Okay.
this alert that we created today, it's based off of any new records.
Okay.
You then have all your records. So if it's set to all your records, let me save this quickly. If it's set to all your records, it's going to show everything that's under SQL, that
Yeah.
under this report that's made here. So if you want something on a weekly base, it depends on what your query says. But will either be all records or it will be the only new ones. Yeah, it does depend. You can't have something that will tell you a lot yesterday it was
No. You set it up for a daily report to be sent out. I'm just saying, is there, if the client wants a report for a whole week, is Alerts able to do that?
yes, and that's possible. Yes.
That's just a customized, that's just a customized request. I'm setting up to run daily. That's fine. I'm happy with that. But if some way or somehow clients asking, I want to report a sales report for the whole week or a whole month or so, can it be set up for that particular customization to be done, or request to be done?
So you want it to only happen for 1 week or 2 weeks? Is it like that? So here,
Yeah.
under our
So you
scheduled
run,
time,
yeah.
it will be run weekly
Okay, so
every Monday or Tuesday.
okay, so you just have to like set up a new alert just to run for that whole week or whole month. Okay.
Yes,
I got you. Thank you.
no problem.
Guate. Yeah, I just heard from the last speaker now. So the SQL, they are billable if we are unable to define the SQL for the alert that we are looking at. You have to bill us for it, because
Yes. That is correct. When it comes to the SQL alert itself or the query, if we are creating it, then yes, it is billable. Even if you